Sri Sai Ram. Hearty welcome to Sri Satya Sai Lok Seva Gurukulam. I think you're all ready, fresh, taken breakfast or lunch, okay? Ready for batting. Huh? Okay? Okay, we are coming to the last part of this chapter called Atomic Structure. And here, what we already studied, we studied about the charged particles in an atom. What is atom? Atom is the smallest particle of an element. According to John Dalton, atoms are indivisible. But the scientists who came later, they found that it is divisible. And they said that there will be particles like electrons, negatively charged particles, were discovered by J.J. Thomson by the experiment called cathode ray experiment. And also we discussed about the properties of cathode rays. I think you may remember, they are the particles with negative charge. They move towards positive or anode, and they have got mass and energy. So like that, we have studied the properties. And after discovering the negatively charged particles, scientists like Lord Rutherford, Goldstein, etc., and the disciples thought of finding there may be some other particles. Hence, that prompted them to do discovery of protons. Protons are the positively charged particles, and the beautiful experiment they did was alpha ray scattering experiment by Rutherford, where a thin gold foil is taken and alpha rays are made to bombard this. And for their surprise, Rutherford found that most of the rays went straight. Some of them got deviated, some of them recoiled back. So, and there was one model called as Thomson model and also Rutherford model. We shall see now once again. So, this is the thing we have already glanced in the previous classes. Coming to home assignments, the first question is describe Thomson model of an atom. What is it called? For that I gave a reference to Bakery. So according to this model, atoms can be considered as a large sphere of uniform positive charge with a number of small negatively charged electrons scattered throughout the model. I gave the example of bun or some bakery products. There will be some cherry fruit or some other fruits which are embedded in it, and that's why it's also called as plum pudding model. So here electrons will act like plums and protons act like pudding. So they are all embedded with each other. That is what Thomson experiment, or he did a model that is called as Thomson's model of an atom. On the basis of this, there was one more model. What would have been observed in the alpha ray scattering experiment if the Thomson model was correct? So what do you observe? If the Thomson model was correct, then most of the alpha rays in the experiment would have passed straight through them. But actually it is not so. As I just now told you, some of them got deviated when they came near the nucleus. Is it not? And some of them recoiled back. For example, suppose you are going in a cycle or a bike, for example, bike or a scooter. Just imagine you don't have a license with you. Of course, don't forget, you should follow the rules of the government. You should have proper license. Suppose in a day you forgot and you are come to know that there is one RTO jeep standing in certain place, some circle. Then what do you do? When you come to know, they take a deviation. Is it not? You will go by some other road. Because you are supposed to do some duty of purchasing something or doing something there in the city. As you don't have proper license, you will take a deviation. Sometimes you have not seen the jeep or the RTO people. What happens? You come straight and you will be caught. They say, go back, bring the license or go to police station. So that is called recoiling back. Taking deviation means changing the road. And if you have got license and all proper records, you can go like going in a highway, going straight, whoever may be the officer, RTO or police or what, you don't care. Because you have got all documents. Is it not? So also in alpha ray scattering. And where do you get alpha rays? Alpha rays can be got from the radioactive source. What is the radioactive source? It is a special phenomenon in which heavy elements like uranium, thorium, etc. emit a special kind of radiation. And there are three kinds of radiations, namely alpha rays, beta rays and gamma rays. Alpha rays are positively charged and later on it is discovered they are helium atoms, and hence they are separating that alpha rays, and then it was used for the experiment of the famous gold foil experiment. So here that showed that Thomson model was not successful, and the alpha ray scattering gave a very good insight into the what is called as Rutherford's model. According to Rutherford's model, the atom contains a dense and positively charged. So there is a positively charged particle. So this is important. In a region called the nucleus. Nucleus is like a center. Other day I was telling you about the watermelon, you remember? The watermelon, see the beauty of the nature. The outer skin is green color. In that there will be a layer of white color. In that there will be a juicy substance of red color. In that there will be black seeds of the watermelon in the middle of the fruit. So also there will be positively charged an atom called as nucleus. Nucleus is the center. And what about negative charges? They are called as electrons. They will be going around the nucleus. All the positive charge and most of the mass of the atom is contained in the nucleus. So in the nucleus, then it was told that there will be positive charges only, and the electrons will be going around the nucleus. That was Rutherford's model, because he was not able to tell about the neutrons. It was not discovered that time. So in today's topic we will see some more things about this. Can you identify this? This is the photo of Niels Bohr, who gave another model for the atom, and that is because there were some drawbacks of the Rutherford's model. The first drawback, as we just now discussed, it could not explain the stability of the atom. the distribution of electrons and the relation between atomic mass. So, that is the stability is not explained. What will be stability? See, you can just think a little. There are two things possible. These electrons going around the nucleus may go out of their orbit. Are you following? Or they may be absorbed by the nucleus. As you can see in the solar system, what is solar system? This can be compared to a solar system. In the solar system, which is the center, sun is at the center, right? With sun at the center, all the planets should be going around, right? And usually they will be circular, some will be elliptical also. So, when the planets going around the sun, you may have, or you can think that two possibilities. For example, the first planet or nearest planet is Mercury. This Mercury is very nearest to the sun. It might have been absorbed by sun, or it might have gone out of the sun's orbit. But both are not possible. Why? That is because of the gravitational pull. So, there will be what is called as gravity. The gravity in which the sun is attracting the Mercury is balanced by the gravity of the Mercury, and hence it will be going in a fixed orbit. So, also all planets. Same thing is true here also. But Rutherford could not explain this stability. He said, or he doubted these two chances. And one more thing is distribution of electrons. For example, an element like sodium has 11 electrons. How these electrons will be distributed? Say in your class, for example, there are 30 boys or 30 girls in a girls' school. So, what the teacher do in the first day? Of course, from 1 year you have no class, and the class may commence soon. So, when the class commences, what the class teacher do? They will make you to stand in a line, they will bring you in a line, make you to sit in different benches. First bench, A, B, C, D. Second bench, E, F, G, H. Like that, they will go on distributing. Of course, they may change once again. So, electrons are distributed in fixed elliptical orbits, which he could not explain. And also he could not explain about atomic mass and atomic number. So, atomic number is denoted by the symbol Z, and mass is denoted by the symbol A. Relation between A and Z he could not predict, because he could not tell about the more mass that is present in the nucleus. So, what happened was, and one more thing is the problem of stability of the atom and the distribution of electrons in the atoms. So, because of this problem, there came a scientist by name Niels Bohr, the photo of which you are seeing now. He told one more model. He is a disciple of Lord Rutherford, who made a very striking explanation about the electrons, distribution of electrons. And let us see what is that Bohr's model of the atom. In 1913, Bohr His full name is Niels Bohr, a student of Rutherford, proposed a model in terms of two postulates. What are postulates? Postulates are the statements which are believed as true. They have no proof. Suppose you give a statement that 2 points are needed for determining a line, or 2 points determine a line. There is no proof for that. It is believed as true. That's why it is called as postulate. Okay. The first postulate says electrons move in definite circular paths of fixed energy around a central nucleus, just like a solar system in which different planets revolve around the sun in definite orbits. Just like the sun at the center, all planets are going around. Here also in atom, the center is the nucleus, and all electrons will be going around different shells, like K shell. So he named it as K shell, L shell, M, N, O, P, Q. So the first innermost is called K shell. So that N means it stands for energy level. So if N equals 1, K. Second one is N equals 2, M, L. M shell, N equals 3. N shell, N equals 4, like that. O is 5th. P is 6th. Q is 7th. So there will be 7 shells. So he explained that the electrons will be in a definite concrete shells. What do? They will be going around the nucleus in fixed elliptical orbits. That is what he tells us dharma in spirituality. All have to follow one's own dharma. Dharmo rakshite rakshitaha. Pandavas followed the dharma, that they obeyed the Dharmaraya's words or Krishna's words. And that is why in the end, even though they are very less in number, they won the war. And the whole world understood that whoever follows Dharma will be protected by God. So also, electrons also will have their own Dharma. Here this number 2, 8, 18, 32, etc., that tells about the maximum number of electrons. How do you get that formula? That is by a Bohr's formula. We will see that little later. So, similar to the planets, only circular paths around the nucleus are allowed for the electron to move. These paths are called orbits. See the names. Please note the names. Orbits, energy levels, other name is shells. You can call them as orbits also, shells also, energy levels also. They are stationary orbits. Stationary means fixed orbits, and as they do not lose energy. Now a doubt will arise, when do they lose energy or when they gain energy? That we will see in the next postulate. So it was later realized that concept of circular orbit is proposed by Bohr was not adequate, and it was modified to energy shells with definite energy. So earlier it was believed that it is two-dimensional, but it was not satisfactory because electrons will be continuously going around the nucleus. When they go around the nucleus, they will be three-dimensional. What means three-dimensional? Length, breadth, height. For example, if you have a cube, have you seen cube? Cube will have length, breadth and height. Cuboid. cylinder, cone, cylinder, sphere, etc. They are all called three-dimensional. Whereas square, rectangle, triangle, etc. are called two-dimensional. Here three-dimensional means as I change the direction of rotation, we have three-dimensional region, and the shells will have represented by letters K, L, M, N, O, P, Q. After that you have O, P, Q also, but important is K, L, M, N, and they are represented by the number K shell, first energy level, L shell, second, third is M shell, fourth is N shell, fifth is O shell, sixth is P shell, seventh is Q shell. They are the different shell numbers. As you have given seating arrangement in the class, first bench, second bench, third bench, like that. First fill up first bench. The first bench is filled up, then go to second bench, right? We say as the boy's height increases, sometimes weight also, we will make them or accommodate them to different benches. So also electrons are also placed in different energy shells, and there is a very interesting discovery he has made. He got Nobel Prize for that. And also he said the energies of the shells increase with the number n. N equal to 1 is the lowest energy, and the maximum number of electrons accommodated in the shell is given by the formula, very very important, 2n square. What is n? N is the energy level. So if there is one energy level, 2 into 1 square, that is 2. In the second shell you have 2 into 2 square, so 4 into 2, 8. Third shell you have 2 into 3 square, 18. Fourth shell you have 2 into 4 square, that is 32. That is how you got these numbers, 2, 8, 18, 32. And here they are the energy levels, and formula is 2n square, very very important. That is called Bohr's formula, BOHRFS, Bohr's formula, and it is to decide maximum number of electrons. And later on each shell is further divided into various sub-levels called as subshells, S, P, D, F. F's will have one subshell called as one orbital. This has 3 orbitals. D has 5 orbitals. F has 7 orbitals. So the electrons in S subshell is 2, 6, 10, 14. We are going to study that later. The shells are again divided into subshells, which you study later. So that is an arrangement, how the electrons are arranged in the atom. That is called electronic configuration. Just as in the class also, suppose the teacher says go and sit wherever you want, then what happens? Today you sit in the first bench, tomorrow you go to fourth, last bench, next day you go to third bench, you go on changing. There will be no discipline. The teacher also find difficult, where is that particular Keshava sitting, or Gauri sitting, Sushila sitting. Okay, suppose you are given a fixed place, the teacher will have a good control and they will ask question to discuss and all this, is it not? So also electrons are given the different shells like KLMN, also called as first, second, third, fourth, etc. Then again divided into subshells called as SPDF. That is the arrangement of electrons. This is what is called as electronic configuration. Electron can change its shells. This is postulate number 2. What does it say? Change its shells by absorbing or releasing energy. An electron at a lower state of energy EI can go to a higher energy EF. So if it absorbs a single photon of energy, what do you mean photon? Photon is nothing but energy packet. E is equal to h nu. That word is called nu. Photon. Nu. So E is equal to h nu. That is called Planck's constant. We can study that later. So this symbol nu stands for energy level. So E is equal to h nu. So here what the postulate number 2 says, at a lower state of energy goes to a final state of energy. So lower state we call it as EI, energy at a lower state. Final stage we call it as EF. It can jump to this higher energy if photon of energy is given. So the energy is given by the formula EF minus EI. EF means what? Final energy. EI means what? Initial energy. So difference of the two will be equal to h nu. That is called energy formula, and here h is called as the Planck's constant. Max Planck also made a discovery about this electrons movement, which you are going to study later. So this is the second postulate. Now this is the case where energy is given from outside. Suppose reverse take place. See here, n equals 1, n equals 2, n equals 3. What is n equals 1 called? K shell. N equals 2 called L shell, M shell, etc. So what is just now told is that if a photon of energy is given to an electron going around in a lower energy, it jumps to the next energy level. So it jumps. Similarly, when electron changes its shell from a higher energy to lower energy, photon of energy is released. So instead of that, jumping to previous, if it jumps from this to outside, then again the same formula, E equals h nu. Lower energy level jumps to a final energy level, then you have h nu of energy is released. So there will be a release of energy, that is called a photon of energy is emitted. And here note the name spelling PHOTON. Photo, you know the word photo. That photo word is taken from the word photon. What are photons? They are nothing but energy packets. Where do you get it? See, it comes from the sunlight. In sunlight also comes to us in the form of photons, energy packets, and the formula is h nu, where h is called Planck's constant, nu is called the. So here photons is nothing but energy packets. There are two things here. When h nu is given to a lower energy, it goes to higher energy level. Instead of that, if high energy level jumps to a lower energy level, photon of energy is released, gives out. One is takes in, another is giving out. And by this process, it is not absorbed by the nucleus. The special property is there. Followed? So, this is a postulate number 2 told by Niels Bohr. It's a very remarkable explanation, and now the problem comes, what about the balance? As Rutherford said, he could not explain why there is a balance inside the atom. That is because of one more particle called as neutron. So, discovery of neutrons. So, it was suggested that there must be one more type of subatomic particle present in the nucleus which will be having mass. It has a mass, but it is neutral, it has no charge. Charge is not there. Charge is not there, but it has a mass. It must be there, otherwise it cannot be balanced. Such a particle was discovered by James Chadwick. Note the names. Who discovered electrons? J.J. Thomson. Who discovered protons? Lord Rutherford and his disciples. Who discovered neutrons? James Chadwick. And what was the experiment? That was something like passing like alpha particles to beryllium. Anyway, not there for now. We will see that later. So, in 1932, neutron was discovered. He said that it is electrically neutral, means it has no charge, zero charge, no charge. Electrons has minus charge, protons has plus charge. So, electron shortly called as E, proton shortly called as P. So, this is minus, this is P plus, this is N0. So, neutrons are present in the nucleus of all atoms except hydrogen. Why except hydrogen? Hydrogen has no neutrons. It is a very special element. That is why it kept in the first place in the periodic table. It has got only one proton, only one electron. Thus, if helium atom contained 2 protons and 2 neutrons in the nucleus, the mass ratio of helium to hydrogen was 4:1, is 4:1, because 2 protons and 2 neutrons. If you add that formula, A is equal to Z plus N. So, 2 plus 2 becomes 4. So, ratio of helium to hydrogen becomes 4:1. In case of hydrogen it is 1 because there is no neutrons. So, that is how the discovery of neutrons was helpful to find out the balance in the atom. So, atom is number 1 electrically neutral because number of protons is equal to number of electrons, or number of positive charge is equal to number of negative charge. Now, this table, if you observe, it tells about the mass and charge. Other day we told about E by M ratio. In case of electron, the mass is 9.109389 into 10 to the power of minus 31 kg. It's a very, very small. Don't think so big it is. Minus 1. Followed. And the charge is 1.602177 10 to the power of minus 19 coulombs. Why it is called coulombs? There is a scientist who discovered that. Charges. And in an atom, if we compare it, is minus 1. Protons, mass 1.672623 into the power minus 27 kg. So much of kg. So electrons are very, very small compared to this, and the charge will be 1.602177 to the power minus 19 coulombs. Relative charge is 1. In case of neutron, the mass is 1.674928, slightly more. You can see, if you compare these two, neutrons have little more charges, little more mass than that of protons. 1.674928 into 10 to the power minus 27 kg, and it has no actual charge. So these are called subatomic particles or fundamental particles of an atom. So this has disproved Dalton's atomic theory, who said atoms are indivisible. Now coming to the last point in this, atomic number, nothing but number of protons or electrons in an atom of an element is called as atomic number, denoted by Z. Mass number, very, very important, sum of number of protons and number of neutrons. Where did I get this? It is in the nucleus of an atom, is called mass number A. These particles are called nucleons. Nucleons is nothing but sum of protons and neutrons. An element X with an atomic number Z and mass number A is denoted by X. A is atomic number, atomic mass, Z is atomic number. For example, carbon 12, 12 means this is mass number. We call it as A. Please note correctly. And what is Z? Nothing but atomic number, or you can say it as number of protons or electrons. So it has got 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons. Okay, I will give one more. Suppose you have sodium. Mass number is 23. Atomic number is 11. How many protons are there? How many electrons are there? How many neutrons are there? Naturally, this Z represents number of protons. So here number of protons is equal to 11. So number of electrons is also equal to protons, nothing but atomic number, that is also 11. And number of neutrons, what you call it as N. N is, how to get N? In the formula, A is equal to Z plus N. Here is A is 23, Z is 11, N we don't know. So N can be got, N is equal to 23 minus 11, that is 12. So neutrons will be 12. Very important question. I think you followed. Here protons and electrons are same. That's why an atom is always electrically neutral. And neutrons only changes, depends on the atomic mass. Here atomic mass is 23, therefore neutrons became 12. So like that, you must be able to tell the different particles present in an atom of an element. Okay. Now let us see some home assignments. A sodium atom has an atomic number of 11, mass number 23. Calculate the number of protons, neutrons and electrons. Just now I shown you what is the mass number of an atom which has 7 protons and 8 neutrons. Okay. Third question. Identify the following subatomic particles. Means what? protons, neutrons, electrons. Number of these in the nucleus is equal to atomic number. We must name it. Particles that is not found in the nucleus. Again you have to name it. The particle that has no electrical charges. The particle that has a much lower mass than that others subatomic particles. Okay, I'm prepared for all this in the next class. Okay, thank you.